And you're listening to episode 937 of Gamertag Radio. I'm Paris. It's just me. There's nobody else. Both Danny and Pete were in Europe last week, so that was it was kind of weird, like both of them being on a different time zone and us communicating everything. I'll let Danny tell the tale of where he's been and what he's been doing in due time when he returns, but he's been traveling all week, so he won't be on this episode. So you're stuck with me, and I just want to remind everyone that's tuning into this, you can find us over at gamertagradio.com. You can find us over at audioboom.com. Obviously, if you're subscribing to the podcast, we can be found on iTunes. It's still called iTunes. I know it's going away. Maybe it's called Apple Podcasts, but you can find us there. You can find us over at Google. You can find us over at Spotify, basically RSS feed anywhere you want to subscribe on the audio side, you can find us. Obviously, we do the podcast live here on Twitch. You can find us on twitch.tv/gamertagradio. And the thing that I've started to do now when I'm streaming is to put this on YouTube. So you can also find this over on my YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/c/Marcelo696. I'll make sure I have all that information in the show notes. So like I said, it's just me. It's not a lot of stuff going on this week, and I don't want to backtrack too much and just keep repeating cyberpunk stuff all the time. But obviously all that has been happening over the past couple of weeks with myself, and just all the comments that I've been getting for some of the videos that I've put out, just some of the comments that I've had on social media has been greatly appreciated, the good and the bad, because I appreciate all feedback, and that's how we grow as people. So thank you for everyone for all the kind words that you've had, and for all the constructive feedback as well. Really appreciate that. Speaking of feedback, if you want to leave us feedback, you can do that at fanmail@gamertagradio.com. Matter of fact, why am I saying it? I'm just going to play the audio cut right now. No sound. Okay. All right, we're back. So first off, I want to start off this way, and I'm not going to deep dive into this too much. I just want to kind of highlight it. Dr. Disrespect, he is one of the biggest streamers in the world. There is no denying his popularity. I'm not taking away from that at all, other than to say that he was suspended by Twitch after what happened at E3. I won't go into that too much, other than to say this. What he did was creepy. It was very immature, but it was completely on brand for him. And Twitch banned him for 2 weeks, and they brought him back, and he's most likely coming back more popular than ever. And like I said, I'm only bringing this up is because I know a lot of people were upset about the 2-week ban and why did they only do that. Here's the thing. He makes Twitch a lot of money. He's super popular. Did you really think he was going to be suspended more than 2 weeks? I didn't. So it wasn't a shock for me at all. And like I said, he has his gimmick. He does his thing. God bless him. Keep making that money. Keep getting them checks. That's what I say. But the thing that we have to ask, and this most sore goes to the platform Twitch, which I'm on right now as I'm streaming this, are those 2 weeks, is that enough for what happened? I personally don't think it is. I think, not that he necessarily been made an example of, but we need some ground rules put out there. And it's not just out disrespect. It's just, I'm just using him as the talking point to bring this up. There's a lot of nonsense that goes on the streaming, be it the sexism, the racism, just, the creepy thing that he did. It doesn't matter. There needs to be some standards set on if you violate X, Y, or Z, you are suspended for X amount of time, or you're banned permanently, things like that. I don't really see those guidelines being set on this platform, and I definitely don't see them being 100% enforced, because let's be real. If I would have took a camera and I would have went into an E3 bathroom with children and filmed it and streamed it, warned by Twitch, ignored it, did it anyways, do you really think I'm back on here in 2 weeks? I'm probably banned for life. But am I making Twitch enough money to not be banned for life? Probably not. So it is what it is. I just think there's a lot of double standards when it comes to that. You know, who am I? I'm just a guy on here talking. I don't know anything, but this is just my observation. So I wanted to point that out. So again, everyone listening to this or watching this, it's one of those scenarios where, hey, we got to be vocal if you want to see things change from what they currently are. So, you know, send some feedback over to Twitch. Let them know how you feel. Mixer, YouTube, all these platforms where we're allowed to stream and put out this type of content. And, you know, it seems that certain people get slaps on the wrist. Just my observation when it comes to that. So like I said, I wanted to get that out of the way. I'm going to go into another slightly negative topic because I just want to get these out of the way as we go into the show. So Kotaku, Jason Schreier had another article, guess what, about crunch, but this time was more so about Treyarch and just some of the standards over there with the development of Black Ops 4 and just kind of a little bit of behind the scenes of everything that was happening there and just kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Just basically the treatment of some of the contractors, and I don't want to say lower level, but just some of the contractors, QA people that were heavily involved in the crunch to get that game out on time last year. And he, like I said, I don't want to deep dive into it too much other than to say crunch has been kind of the boogeyman right now, be it we're talking Treyarch, be it we're talking CD Projekt Red, Bungie, etc. down the road. And we've heard various different comments from studios. Some have gone on the record, some off the record, but you know, each one has their own philosophy on dealing with crunch. And I will just simply say this: crunch in today's video game development is a necessary evil. We don't have to like it. I don't like it. No one likes it. But it is unfortunately a necessary evil that at some point you will see a studio have to ask their employees to work extra hours and, you know, weekends, etc., to get a game out on time. I know that recently Bungie actually delayed an update, you know, because they wanted to avoid crunch. Bravo on them. They're independent now, so they can do what the hell they want. When we look at some of these bigger publishers and studios, maybe they don't necessarily have that luxury to do that, to get these big AAA games out when they say they get them out, other than to delay them. I am perfectly fine with a game getting delayed. If you tell me a game's coming out on October 25th, but it's going to require the studio in the last couple months to work 60, 80-hour work weeks or whatever, right? No, delay it if you need to. I'm perfectly fine with that. But there's a lot of people that aren't. There's a lot of money that's tied into this to where maybe they can't delay it. And I think that's just the common theme of these first two topics that I want to bring up is it's all about money at the end of the day. These companies make hundreds of millions, damn near $1 billion franchise like Call of Duty as an example. You know, they may not necessarily be able to afford to miss a launch window because it's going to cost so much money. It's going to cost people jobs, etc. And like I said, I'm not making an excuse for these big companies. Maybe you need to plan it out better. Maybe you need to schedule it out a longer development cycle so that you don't have to rush at the end to get these things done. I don't know. But when we go on social media, when we go on these forums and we see these articles, you know, coming from a Kotaku complaining about crunch, I don't see a lot of people not taking those jobs to be a part of crunch. I mean, we see a lot of quote unquote anonymous sources talking about the bad at a studio, talking about crunch, things like that. And again, I'm not defending the company. I'm just in the middle. I'm not also going to defend the people on the other side that are involved in crunch. I'm just looking at the reality of it is these are jobs. These are how people are putting food on their table. Does that process suck? But it's a process that has been around for decades at this point, and nothing seems to change. So what do? You know, these companies have to look in the mirror and figure that out for themselves. But at the end of the day, it's all about money, man. If you're not making money, you're not putting food on the table, and then you're just sitting at home. Excuse me. Oh, they wanted to get me. They don't want me talking about this. But at the end of the day, you're just sitting at home without a job. And this is the profession that you chose to be in. So it goes both ways when it comes to that. I understand why Kotaku, as an example, keeps putting out these articles and they're bringing light to this, but at some point we have to understand the reality of it. I really wish, and this will never happen, but I really wish a publisher or developer would come out and just be completely open about how the crunch cycle works at their studio, get people on the record that can be honest about how they feel about it, the good, the bad, and the ugly of it, and we just see the reality of what crunch truly is at these studios. Because right now we just don't know. We hear from anonymous sources. Most likely you're going to hear from the more disgruntled employees when it comes to this versus the people that are actually happy at their jobs. So it will always take a negative tone. Like I said, I'm not a fan of it. I do think it needs to change on some level, but it is what it is. So I always said I was going to lightly touch on this, and I obviously went to a little bit of rant about it. But like I said, I wanted to just get those two things kind of out of the way. Like I said, there's not a lot going on in the gaming world right now, but those were two hot topics this week. So I just want to kind of talk about it a little bit. So one thing that I wanted to get into this week, and unfortunately time was a factor and I did not get the time to get a lot of hands on, was Mario Maker 2 for the Nintendo Switch. That came out this week. The reviews have been off the chart for it. Everyone seems to be loving it right now. I want to put more time into it before I give true thoughts, but just the limited amount of time that I've had with it so far, it's been fantastic. Next week, I'll definitely have more in-depth coverage on this. I'll talk more about my hands-on, how I feel about it. Definitely planning to stream it here on this channel. I'm going to do some capture footage as well, put that up on the YouTube channel, etc. But just the quick and dirty so far, Mario Maker 2 is fantastic. It really is. And I'm just right now going through and I'm doing quote unquote story mode. I haven't actually attempted to try and make any levels or anything yet, but it's fantastic. I can't wait to start jumping into some of these community created levels in Mario Maker 2. But like I said, if you're on the fence about it, so far so good with it. It's been a fantastic experience, and it's going to be one of the better games here in 2019. So like I said, next week I'll have more information on that and we'll deep dive into Mario Maker 2. So another thing that happened this week for me, and I will actually just pop that up on the screen, was CD Projekt Red reached out to me and they sent me a beta invite for GOG Galaxy 2.0, which is currently in beta. And for those that don't know what GOG Galaxy is, the current iteration of it is it's CD Projekt Red's it's their digital platform for gaming on PC. Obviously, something like The Witcher, Cyberpunk, Gwent is there. You'll find some older games that are there. It's all DRM free. But what they're doing with 2.0, which has me excited, is they're creating a platform that will integrate all your other digital gaming platforms into one and give you information for all. So, like I said, it's in a beta right now. It's not 100% working right now as far as all the features, but I was able to bring in Uplay, I was able to bring in Origin, Steam, Epic Games Store, Xbox Live, PlayStation Network, obviously GOG, Battle.net. I was able to put in my login information for all of those, and it basically curates everything and brings all my games into one platform. So I think it's like I have 369 games it was able to import into GOG Galaxy 2.0. And along with that, and again, this is when it's going to be completely curated and working. And if every digital platform cooperates with this, it's bringing in all my achievements, recently played, hours played, just everything. I'll be able to launch the games from this one platform. It is basically trying to be the one platform to rule them all. Again, it's going to be completely open source. There's going to be, community hacks that are going to go into this, everything. And like I said, just even in its limited form right now, I'm very impressed by it because like I said, I can see every game that I own right now. All of them are here, and it's giving me some limited information. I think Uplay, I don't think if I said Uplay was another one I was able to import, but everything's here. All my games, I can launch them. I can see how long I've been playing them. I can see the achievements that I have for them, etc. I know that Microsoft specifically said that they plan to definitely be a partner with GOG on this to integrate a lot of their stuff, because obviously we know that Microsoft is making a big push on the PC side. So I'm excited for it. I'm excited to see what this platform will turn into over the next year or so. Obviously, we know GOG has a big game with Cyberpunk coming out here in the next 10 months. So I'm sure that's going to be a big highlight for them to be able to push this platform, because they're going to have a lot of people paying attention to that company and to that game. And this will be CD Projekt Red's their own storefront to be able to push out Cyberpunk, but it will be available on Steam as an example as well. So I'm excited to see what this turns into. This is still the early beta. There's not a lot there as far as from the other platforms. It's very limited right now, but just the simple fact that I was able to import all my games, see everything that I currently own, and have the option to be able to launch them through this platform even in this early stage is pretty impressive. So definitely something to keep an eye on over the next few months, as we go through the beta. And then we eventually, get to the production, the final 2.0 product. So, like I said, this is GOG Galaxy 2.0. I'll have more information on this in the coming weeks and months. Now, another thing I want to bring up, and I don't want to say that this is negative. It's just the reality of it, and we've been talking about this a lot over the past few weeks. So, Stadia, Google Stadia. It came out, Phil Harrison, was he talking to Eurogamer? I forget who he was talking to, but Phil Harrison was talking to a media outlet, and it came out that, first of all, Stadia will not have an open beta, so it is just going to launch, and if you invest money into this, cross your fingers that it works day one. Chances of that, I'm putting it at 50-50 personally. It also came out from him because it was asked about the cost of retail games. Would there be any kind of discount that comes with them? At first he said, why would there be? There's no reason for that to happen. Then he backtracked off of it a little bit and just said, hey, that's basically up to the publisher how they're going to price this stuff. But they're presenting Stadia as a full platform, a full gaming experience. It's just streaming. Now, I've said in the past that I'm not necessarily a fan of Stadia as a standalone product, and this kind of cements it for me, because like I've said, you can't have a subscription service without some kind of supplement to it. Like this is what, $10 a month, you get a limited amount of games in it. I guess with the $10 a month, you'll be able to play it at 4K. You can do 1080p for free. That'll be next year in 2020. But to get the new games, to get the day and date brand new games that are coming out, again, I'll just take as a random example, Watch Dogs Legion, when that comes out, right? If I want to play that on Stadia, I'm going to have to spend $60 to play it on Stadia. And I'm not going to be able to play it anywhere else. I'm not going to be able to have a download option to play it on PC, play a code, play it on Xbox, PlayStation, whatever. The only place that I can play Watch Dogs Legion if I buy it from the Stadia store is Stadia. It's only streaming. I understand the tech behind it. I think the tech behind it is fantastic as a supplement, but as the primary way I'm going to play games, and I think Phil Harrison even said, yeah, but look at the value. You can play it on any screen you want. That's great if you have the internet to support it wherever you are. Not everyone's going to have that 100% everywhere they are. What happens when we have the first outage with Stadia? There's not a backup plan. I don't know. I just cannot invest $60 into a brand new game on that store and cross my fingers that Google doesn't get bored in 3 years and it goes away. What happens to my games at that point? What happens to my library? At least, I know everything's going digital now, but at least on Xbox, PlayStation, or if I buy games from a Steam, there is a download option to where I have that game on my hard drive. If Steam were to go away tomorrow, they could at least implement something to say that, hey, all these games that you own now in their current form, they're available offline. Download them all now because we're going away in 2 months, right? Same with Xbox, same with PlayStation. So you at least would have that option. Stadia, they've not said anything like that. I could at least understand if with Stadia, they said, all right, everything's going to be streaming, but we've partnered with GOG as an example, and you're going to have a download option for all these games if you so choose. You know what I mean? Just something to where at least I feel like there's a safety net on the back end that if Stadia doesn't work the way that I expect it to, at least I can do it that way. I can download it, or if it goes away, there's going to be just a complete offline mode so I can grab all my games at the end, something. But look, me as a consumer, if it was a pure subscription service for Stadia where 100% I give them $15 a month and all the new games are available to me, I'd be more willing to try that out, because I understand a subscription just like Netflix. You don't own any of the movies or TV shows that you watch on Netflix, right? I get that. If it went away tomorrow, same with Spotify as an example, if it went away tomorrow, then oh, so be it. It was just my subscription money. I never had true ownership of those. But with Stadia, they're basically telling you you have some ownership in these games because they're expecting you to spend a full retail price. Why would I do that when I could go play the same games on an Xbox, go play the same games on a PlayStation or a PC, and buy a physical copy of the game? More so on the console than the PC, obviously, but I could have a physical disc of the game that I own. Or like I said, I could have a download option that's going to be on my hard drive. This is why I personally think what Microsoft is doing with Project xCloud is the more reliable solution versus what you're doing with Stadia, because at least with Project xCloud, they're using it as a supplement. They're not telling you this is the only way you can play Xbox games. They're saying, hey, you can still play them the traditional way on your console. You could play them on the PC now. But if you're on the go with your phone, iPad, or whatever, and you want to pull up and stream a game, you can do that now. They're even giving us the option to where I could take my Xbox One X and make that my streaming server, for free, where I'm not even going to be charged for it. Is it going to work as good as one of the Project xClouds at their data center? Probably not, depending on my bandwidth and my upload speed, but the option is there where it would not cost me a penny to be able to stream games on the go, right? Versus Stadia, yeah, they're going to have that free option, the 1080p option, but to get any games on Stadia, you still got to pay full price for those games. They really have to come out and think about how this subscription model is going to work for them, how they're going to make me as a consumer feel okay to want to invest money into the Stadia platform. I just don't right now. I would not recommend Stadia to anyone. I think if you're purchasing that Founders Pack right now and you're investing that $10 a month, you're taking a huge gamble. That's just my personal opinion. I understand that other people are excited about it. Like I look at Destiny 2 as an example. It's coming out for launch on Stadia. And it was one question that I was asking Bungie. Okay, you can't realistically expect the Stadia population in November to be very big because it's only going to be people that pre-ordered that Founders Pack, right? You're not going to have a huge audience. And even of that audience that does pick that up, how many of them are really playing Destiny 2? So why would I invest into that population on Destiny 2? It's going to be very small. So again, these are the kind of things that I'm very curious to see what's going to happen here at the end of the year with Stadia. As they roll it out, I expect there to be, there's going to be some issues, but that's understood early on. But let's see what it looks like by the time we get to 2020 and they unveil that free option. How many people are actually going to be buying games on that Stadia platform? I'm just not convinced that it's going to happen, but hey, we'll see. We will see. So moving on from that, I want to talk about another thing, just bringing up Destiny as an example, because it's something that I've been observing over the past, 3-4 months. As you guys know, I've been a huge Destiny fan since pretty much day one. So I've been very invested into that world. I came to the Division as an example, kind of late in the game for the Division 1, but obviously I've been there heavily playing the Division 2 since that launched earlier this year. And I gave Anthem a shot, right? I did try to give it a shot. We all know the struggles that Anthem has had. It is what it is. But I bring up these 3 games specifically because these are the quote unquote looter shooter games, right? That are out there. And now that I've had, some experience dealing with the communities of each game, I've noticed a very common theme when it comes to there's 3 major issues with looter shooters right now. And honestly, I don't know what developers can do to fix it. Number 1, there always seems to be some kind of loot problem where the community isn't happy the way that the loot is being distributed across these games, right? How am I getting my loot? What's the frequency of the loot? With the exotics, etc. Obviously, Bungie this week in their TWAB came out and said that with Menagerie, they're fixing the chest glitch, right? And the community's not happy about that because that's part of what made that game mode very fun was you were getting all this loot and you're improving your guarding and you're having fun doing it, and they're fixing the glitch. So basically, for those that don't know, it's similar to a glitch that happened during House of Wolves where Chest spawns, you get the chest, you basically race out of the room, and then you come back, the chest is still there, you can loot it again, you can probably do it 2 or 3 times before it goes away, right? They're getting rid of that with the patch on July 9th, I believe they said was the date for that. So the community's not necessarily happy about that because they feel like they're taking away something that was fun and something that the community has told Bungie, hey, don't patch this, keep it. We love that this is fun. The Division has had various issues with their weapon balancing, as an example. That's another option number 2. That's the other issue that's happening is with weapon balancing across these games. People are not very happy with the weapon balancing in the Division, but obviously Destiny has been notorious with this, where they'll buff something but they'll nerf something else that people like, etc. And then even going back to the loot problem, the Division has had a loot problem where, you know, the drops aren't being very compelling, and I know that they're adding in to where the secret vendor now you'll be able to get exotics from, and people aren't necessarily happy about that. You know, the raid, really there's only the one weapon that drops, and the percentage on it doesn't seem to be high enough for people to get Eagle Bearer, it's called, where people aren't necessarily happy about that. So like I said, there's this constant struggle that's going back and forth between keeping the weapons balance versus the loot that you're getting, the ratio that you're getting, etc. And then the third thing, and I really don't know how this is going to be solved, even though I think Activision, ironically enough, was on to something, is keeping up with the content. There's a constant need for new content to come out, right? Because you go through some new content, you play it a few times, you want to do something new. You constantly want to keep getting something new to play in these kind of games. And the demand, basically these studios can't keep up with the demand. And I bring up Activision as an example because obviously Bungie left Activision and they were bringing in Vicarious Visions and High Moon to help Bungie to keep up with the content demand. Now that goes away with Bungie being independent. I know Massive obviously has the full support of Ubisoft, and there's multiple studios at Ubisoft that's helping them with content. But hey, even with their roadmap coming out, people aren't 100% happy because they want more and more and more, and they want it all the time. But like I said, that third thing is just something I just don't know if these studios can keep up with. It just seems like an almost impossible task to be able to try and keep up with that demand for content. But then that goes back into the scenario, like I was just saying with Menagerie, where you have a game mode in Destiny 2 that people were super excited about, and they were getting loot from it, and they were happy with it, and it made them want to go back and keep playing that mode over and over. And now you're going to nerf it to a certain extent, and now a lot of people that I see in the community aren't necessarily happy about that, and now they're saying, I'm not sure I'm going to play this mode anymore because that's taking away my incentive to play it. So, you know, like I said, when we look at these developers, trying to balance all this out is, like I said, it's hard, man. It really is. I love these type of games. I really do. I love these looter shooter type of games, but it's hard to keep everyone in the community happy, and there's always going to be something that they change, which maybe for the greater health and good of the game that people aren't going to be happy about. People hop on social media, hop on the forums, and they're grumbling about it. So I do not envy any of these studios when it comes to that. And I've purposely not talked about Anthem in this scenario because Anthem almost, in my opinion, doesn't count because it's had so many issues with its launch. You know, the lack of content, the Cataclysm fiasco, they had to cancel the roadmap. You know, their weapon balancing is all over the place. They've obviously had their community screaming at them about not getting enough loot, not having enough compelling loot. To the point where, honestly, for Anthem, the best thing that BioWare and EA can do right now is just simply not talk about Anthem. And I know, was it GameIndustry.biz had the interview with the head of EA talking about Anthem specifically, and even saying that, hey, they're not going to give up on it. And I know people complain, oh, you're blaming the community for the lack of success with Anthem, blah, 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 blah. But here nor there, the point on that is, I truly hope that EA does not give up on Anthem. I hope that BioWare is given the time that they need. I hope BioWare just goes dark on Anthem. Let's just not talk about it. Let's not make any promises. Go dark for 6 months, fix the game, and just have like a soft reboot. Just relaunch the game. Just act like, hey, all that stuff before didn't happen, and just relaunch the game and get people back invested in it. I've said it multiple times, as harsh as I've been about this game, the actual bones of Anthem, they're good. I see a really great looter shooter game inside of Anthem. They just got to fix, like I said, they got to fix the weapon problem. They got to fix the loot problem. They got to add more content and give us compelling activities to do in that game. They do that. I think Anthem ultimately, if it can get past its early stigma, will be fine. So I think that's it. Like I said, I've been talking, what was it, 30 minutes? I've been talking for 30 minutes straight. Damn near didn't take a breath. But like I said, there's not a lot going on in gaming this week. So I kind of just wanted to go over some of the things that were top of mind for me. One last thing I'll end this with, and this has nothing to do with gaming. This is more of a pop culture thing. And I've talked about this a little bit in the past. So I've not seen Toy Story 4 yet. And it's weird. I've been afraid to go see Toy Story 4. And just a little history lesson here. So my wife and I first met back in October of 1995. I guess Toy Story, the original movie, came out in November of 95. So the first movie we ever saw together was Toy Story. Because you got to remember, I'm like, what was I, like 21 at the time, something like that. And, you know, the new technology of the animation, all that was brand new. I'm a nerd, so hey, here I am, you know, taking my girlfriend, let's go see Toy Story. Wound up going seeing Toy Story, really enjoyed it. So it was always a movie I really loved and adored. By the time Toy Story 2 came out, my oldest daughter had been born, so took my oldest daughter to go see Toy Story 2. I can't even say it. Toy Story 2. And by the time Toy Story 3 came out, I was able to take my entire family. We all saw it as a family. You know, my all three kids, you know, my oldest daughter, my son, my youngest daughter, my wife, we all went to go see Toy Story 3. And I'm not going to lie. When Andy's mom goes into his room and sees it empty, I was a hot mess because Andy was grown up and just the whole thing. I was just waterworks from that point on. And obviously just the ending with Woody. Andy looks in the bag and Woody's in there with the rest of the toys and the note and Bonnie and the whole thing. I was just a hot blubbering mess at the end of that movie. I still am to this very day. If I watch the ending of Toy Story 3, it was perfection to me. I really don't think I don't think the franchise needed anything beyond that. End it right there. That was perfection. So going into Toy Story 4, I'm like afraid to go see it because I've seen all the great reviews. Everyone's saying, oh, it's amazing. You're going to cry again, which I'm sure I will. But I just don't know how they top that ending of Toy Story 3. So with all that said, tomorrow, taking the whole family again, we're going to go see Toy Story 4. And my wife is going to make fun of me because I'm going to cry in that movie again. I already know I am. But I'm just so worried about how they wrap this up that I just don't know if it's going to taint the perfection of what was Toy Story 3. So we'll see. But yeah, I just wanted to end on that. Definitely, you know, moving forward with Gamertag Radio and everything. I mean, obviously gaming is going to be our primary thing that we talk about, but there'll be some pop culture stuff that we'll talk about as well. So hope you guys don't mind when I bring things like that up. So like I said, we're going to go see Toy Story 4 on Monday. And then I think we're all going to go see Spider-Man on Wednesday. So looking forward to that as well. So I think that's it. I think I've rambled on long enough. Again, please leave us feedback. Really appreciate that. Let us know how we're doing. If you like this format, let me know things that I can improve on. Like I said, here we're doing it live on Twitch. There will be the podcast version, and I'll also be putting this up on YouTube as well if people want to see my ugly mug on demand. But other than that, this has been Gamertag Radio, episode 937. I'm Paris. Danny will be back next week. And we'll see you guys soon.